Hey there. Well, welcome, Black Speakers Network. Oh my God. It is December and we are ending the year strong with Dr. Cindy Trimm. It is this issue is fire. Dr. Trimm is fire. Dr. Cindy Trimm Thomason is fire. But she really is inspiring us or empowering us to realize that we've got the power. And this book, if you do not have it, I know this is a classic. Everybody should have this book. I think this is the old cover too, right, Dr. Tripp?
It is the old cover,
It's
so you
the
got the
old cover.
original.
But this book right here will set your morning right, set your week right, set your year right, set your life right. Even if you just read the back of it, it is the most dynamic book. And this is not about the book. This is about Dr. Tribb in the backseat. But this right here, if you do not have this one is Commanding Your Morning with the Forward by Dr. Miles Monroe. Shout out to him because we love him. He's poured into all of us. And that's one of the reasons. It talks about unleashing the power of God in your life. And Dr. Trim, was that like the last session that you did? Like, you've got the power? That's like your
Yeah,
word.
yeah.
That's your word.
I remember doing the last session and talking about how powerful really are, and then taking this year really to sit with that to really understand. A lot of people are looking for something that they already have. They just don't recognize it. It's
Mm.
like, the big conversation now is to become the next best version of yourself. And we keep looking outside of here, not realizing that you were born with every version, you were conceived with every version of yourself. So you already have the next best version of yourself. You just have to be able to recognize it. So you already have the next.
Be one spin of the wheel. It's a hit.
Wow, we have a lot of people over here in the chat, Dr. Trim. And I was just looking at that over there. Yeah, I can't keep up with everybody. So I just want to say, in your year strong, where did that come from? And before I really get into that, let me just introduce Cier Black as well, who did the cover story for this issue and also the last issue. She does all our cover story features. And I just love this yellow that you have on in here. And you got your posse, your squad in here, the next generation people, and I want you to kind of give a little shout out of who some of those folks are as well. But Sierra, you did an excellent job in really condensing it down. And we do these interviews because we can't get everything in 700 words or less, right?
Right.
Dr. Trim definitely has a lot of books, but we want to really hear what's going on right now in terms of why she started In Your Year Strong, what that's all about, and why she talks about the here is emergence, the rise of the next generation. She has you meditate and you think of the themes every year. So kind of give us a little bit of background about how that came about and some of the speakers that you're going to have at this.
I want to chime in before she gets there because I want you to speak a little bit to this too, Dr. Trim, that I so appreciate. As you are out here serving mankind, humanity in the manner in which you do, what I appreciate about you is that you hold each and every one of us responsible and accountable for
Mhm,
what we're supposed to be doing.
mhm,
And you start off by saying that we are all searching for something that we already have,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
And I appreciate that, not only is that true, but then you hold us accountable. You
Mhm.
hold us accountable and responsible. And I want you to talk a little bit to that because not only from last year, but to this year, that message stays the same. And it puts me in a position to question, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I serving the way I'm supposed to be serving? So please talk about that as we talk about the rise of the next generation.
Yeah, you're unpacking so many different things. It's really when I thought about Andrew, you're strong, bringing it as a summit. It was attached to 30 years of summits that we've been able to put together. One of the goals that I have for myself is to become a mentor for the next generation of history makers and world changers. A lot of us are looking outside of ourselves and we're actually praying for breakthrough, we're praying for healing, we're praying for opportunities. And we look to these iconic figures, never seeing ourselves as being one of them. And we have prayers that we pray throughout the year, but we never see ourselves as the answer to these prayers.
Mm,
That is because somehow, culturally speaking, we've been trained to loathe ourselves and love others,
mm,
to condemn ourselves and celebrate others. And it's a part of this invisible machinery. None of us can see it, but we can sense it, we can feel it. I remember Adam Smith, with The Wealth of Nations, he wrote about this invisible hand. And I believe that there are invisible hands that we don't see that shaping and forming, and informing us as to how we should actually think about ourselves. And most of us, I have not realized that we are the creator, engineer, and architect of our destinies. Your future is not outside of you, your future is on the inside of you.
mm,
And culture, the prevailing culture is a culture of disempowerment. And we wanted to create an environment that is organism specific, i.e., for us as human beings, to help us to see ourselves as able, capable individuals who can not only change our own destiny, but contribute to the wealth of nations
Mhm.
and the uh, um, catalyst that pushes humanity forward. And I know that sounds really deep, but Carter G. Woodson said something that impacted me. He said, if you can control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions. And when you determine what a man shall think, you do not have to concern yourself about what he will do. If you will make a man feel that he is inferior, you do not have to compel him to accept an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. If you can make a man think that he is justly an outcast, you do not have to order him to the back door. He will go without being told. And if there be no back door, his very nature will demand one. And I
Wow.
was thinking and meditating on that, how disempowered we have become, and wanting to build a sort of counter machinery to help people realize, look, you're not a victim of circumstance. You don't have to be a product of your environment. You can overcome the odds. And one of the ways that you can overcome the odds is to have a vision that is bigger
mm,
and big enough that the odds don't really matter. And so, Andrew, You're Strong is about exhaling, taking a deep breath, putting a comma beside a year long worth of pushing and striving to be able to say you don't have to coast. Put yourself in neutral and coast to the end of the year. You can end strong because how something ends is how something begins. I
I
know
love
it's a
that.
mouthful, but I just wanted to get that out.
No,
that was good. And I love how you said most of the times we're looking for things outside of us, but our future is within.
Yeah, everything that you need, you were born with it. We talk about things like purpose and potential, and we don't realize that it's genetic. You're born with your potential. So how do you discover it? You listen. I call it the whispers of God, but you listen to the whispers of God. There's a scripture that says He will give you the desires of your heart.
Mm,
So if he gives you the desires of your heart is internal, is your subconscious mind.
mhm,
So how do you know it's those desires, those feelings, those I got to do this, I want to do this, I want to be here. And I'll explain it in a simple way. I was born in abject poverty. Abject poverty. We ran out of water, clothes. There were six women in the house, including my mother, and we had to survive off of you know, one package with six women. That sort of poverty, and poverty became my gift. Lack became my gift. My father's abandonment of us became my gift, because at six, in the midst of abject poverty, I had to look within and not without, because there was nothing around me to look to. So I looked within and discovered at 8 years old that I had the ability and potential to be a business owner. So I've been a business owner since I was 8 years old.
Wow.
And, when I talk to people about wealth, people usually just look at money,
Hmm.
money and houses. But you're wealthy when you connect to purpose and destiny, when you take yourself seriously. I mean, where did I get the idea? I got to get this, I got to start a business.
And
It came from within.
Right.
So that's where purpose is understood. We don't all want the same thing. We don't all
Right.
desire the same thing. And if you can understand that those desires are given to you by God, and this is how I say it, God gives you the desire that He gave you to desire, so that when you desire that desire, He gives you that desire.
That's a tongue
I
twister.
love that. Oh my
So,
God.
not all of us desire to play basketball. We don't all
Right.
desire to dance. We don't all desire to sing. We don't all desire to do that. Where did those come from? They came from God. And one of the things that Jesus said, I come in the volume of the book, it is written of me. We think of it as a journal that we're going to see that God turns the pages off when we get to heaven. But that's not the book. Your book is your DNA.
Mm.
And when you open that book, these are the characters, the billions of characters
Mhm.
that comprises your DNA, that speaks to your genes, that builds your personality, becomes the blueprint of everything that you become, everything that you are. And most of the times, our name is an indication of what we're called to do. My name is Norma Cindy Trimm. Norma means role model, Cindy means light bearer.
Wow.
Trim means refined.
That is why I'm probably you're like one of my favorite people. You're a light bearer.
Yeah.
And
Everyone, look, that which doesn't kill us makes us stronger. So that those trials turn into triumphs, those tribulations turn to triumphs. And you mentioned two things. You mentioned about culturally and mindset. And those are things that I'm sure those who attend And You're Strong will hear more about. Correct?
Yeah, to talk about Enter Your Strong, because that's how we actually really started. We pulled together just this star-studded group of individuals that are on the same journey. That those of you that are listening to us, we're all on the same journey, right?
Mhm.
And we're all winging it. We're all winging it. Nobody has the blueprint for your tomorrow. Only God. And you are the one that creates where you end up. And this is so important.
The
So, the
strategy.
end of your strong is about providing tips towards this year, navigating the new normal for spiritual, personal, professional development, mental health, leadership, entrepreneurship, and succeeding in an economy or an academic downturn. Because you're going to hear more and more in 2023 and beyond about this economic downturn, but you don't have to participate.
See,
Money is made in economic downturns. You don't have to participate. And we're going to show you about how to do this, how to become your own prophetic architect.
I love that. I love that. That is one of the main things that I love about you. We're talking about your calling, your destiny, and your purpose. You have been called to empower people.
Yeah.
I remember when you were on the stage of Women Thou Art Loose, and it was thousands of women there, right? And that was one of the first times that a lot of people had really heard you, but you empowered those women. And I want to say that I know some of the women who went to that event and heard you for the first time, you changed their life. That is what you do. You change people's lives. And you're sharing this stage for In Your Year Strong with other women that are also history makers, world changers as well, that will empower women. And the word power just keeps coming up because that's not a word that a lot of women use, like getting the power. You've got the power. It's almost like it's a masculine word, but you use it in such a way where you know who you are. You were called from birth to do this thing. And so the emergence of the next generation,
Mhm.
you are a trailblazer. So when you were first getting started doing this work, and give a little bit of background, you were in politics.
Wow.
How many women in
Yeah.
politics were there when you were? What are
Just a handful of us. I've always been in a male dominant space,
Mhm,
and I've never been treated any way differently than being a colleague. And I
mhm,
didn't have to lose my femininity in the process.
mhm,
You know, I made them realize that my brains were more powerful than my body.
mhm,
And it's how you show up in your space. A
Mhm.
lot of women have been trained to ask for permission, to say I'm sorry. For instance, I'm extremely busy, and there are occasions where I'm late, but I'm busy getting there. I never say I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I just thank people for being patient. Thank you so much for being patient
Yes.
and waiting.
mhm,
And because I know what I did to get to that space. So women have the tendency to apologize too much. Secondly, we have the tendency to become rescuers and to parent and mother everyone. And Andrew, you're strong. I'm going to challenge people to write a vision for their lives and stop taking on false burdens and false responsibility. I learned the greatest lesson I learned was yesterday. I was yesterday years old when I learned this simple lesson that no matter how much I love people, I will never be at the center of their universe.
Mm.
mhm,
They are the center of their universe, and I'm the only person that is at the center of mine. And it is my responsibility to make myself happy, to bring peace, to make myself successful. And most women are waiting for everybody else, especially if you're married. You want your husband to make you happy. If you notice, you're married to men make their own self happy. They go after what they want.
mhm,
And so you have to divide your life into these 12 categories. I write about it in Hello Tomorrow, which
Mhm.
is the sequence to Commending Your Morning.
mhm,
And I write it in chapter number 8. Here's how you live your life. Here are the 12 planes, realms, spheres that you've got to manage. Marriage is one. Family is another, but you got another 10. And what women typically do, we wrap ourselves around the role that we play in our marriages and in our family. And then the rest of our lives, we lead to fate.
mhm,
And if you want to show up differently, you got to do things differently. You got to manage all 12 areas. So, what if you end up having a divorce? Your life is not over
Right.
because you've got another 11 areas that you're living in. You heal from that one area, but you live dynamically in the other 11 areas until you're able to address that 12th.
mhm,
So we're dynamic beings. We got a lot that we can unpack and unload, but you are not a victim of circumstances. Empowerment simply means that someone is not giving you the power because you already have it. We are
Mhm.
not giving you something that you do not already have. What happens is we're only being used as a catalyst to turn it on.
mhm. Someone asked, "How can
Wonderful.
we get the magazine?" And, just was looking at over here in LinkedIn. We're on LinkedIn and YouTube as well. So, Dr. Crystal Joy, what a wonderful name. You can get it at speakersmagazine.com. How about that? We have our own .com. Speakersmagazine.com is where you can get this issue and all the issues. This particular issue, Dr. Trim, has some of the videos as well. The video from the conference In Your Year Strong is in there. You did a couple of them, and then some are on the website as well. Uh, I just really want to encourage people to get Command Your Morning and also Hello Tomorrow as well. Are there any things in particular that people need to prepare for before they come to the event that you would suggest that they get, or just have a vision, I guess you would say, because you're going to give them some strategy.
Yeah, just come expecting. We have activist and evangelist Christine Kane. She's going to be with us. We have author and mega church pastor Keon Henderson. We
Yes.
have former Ohio State Representative, motivational speaker Les Brown. business guru Kevin Mullins, TV and radio personality Egypt Sherrod, Grammy Award winning nominee and
Yeah.
Dove Award gospel singer Jacqueline Carr, Todd Delaney, Darlene McCoy, and a
Oh my.
whole host of other individuals that are coming together so that we are going to pour into you so that when once you leave, you see yourself as the solution to the world problems and the answer to the prayers that you've been praying, that you're not waiting for someone to do it for you, you're doing it yourself, and we're going to empower you.
Oh my God.
I love that. Look, you got to come prepared to be changed. That's what you come prepared for, to know that when you walk out of here, you're going to be changed. Pam, I know you keep saying the word empowerment, and I totally agree, but I want to add another word that I don't think people think much of, it is validation. And when she talked about how each of us are individuals, how we each have our own desire, we don't have to be like the next person. That right there is just as powerful as empowerment, because you validate what I've been thinking. I don't want to be like that next person. So you validate and allow me, give that permission to be me. So I think that's something too that we have to consider, because one of the things she does is she validates you as an individual, and that validation ensues into empowerment. So I
Mhm.
It's
think
all
that's
about self mastery, isn't it? Because a
Yeah.
part of self mastery is self approval. And a lot of us are waiting for others to affirm us, but we loathe
yes,
ourselves. There is
yes,
nothing wrong with you. What's wrong with you? There is
right.
nothing wrong with you, nothing broken. You are not faulty. You are fabulous. You're created in the image of God. You're a masterpiece because you're a piece of the master.
Mm.
Now, all you have to do is have the courage to show up and embody that energy.
But
Stop
that goes
being
to you saying
connected. You know,
culturally, we are taught different. That goes to that right there, why we think that way.
Now,
And
I,
that's
I grew up without a father, right?
yeah.
So I grew up without the presence of an authority figure. So that part of my wiring is missing. I don't fear anything. That wiring is missing. I don't fear anyone, any situation, any circumstance. I really don't. And maybe that's why God called me and pushed me out here.
And called
Say
Absolutely.
and
to
called
people,
you
look,
and called you.
what do you need to fix? What do you need to fix about yourself?
I
Right.
have a
If you
question.
have a vision, you look forward. And in the absence of a vision, you look back. And your past has nothing new to say to you. So stop listening.
Nothing new. Stop listening, right?
Yet, could things be the way they are because you are the way you are?
I
What
have
one
a
thing
quick.
can you change that can change everything? You could change your mind. Change your mind about what you are worth, what you're going to get, how you're going to show up in this world. You've got to show up unapologetically strong. Stop asking permission. God gave you permission to be fabulous, to be wealthy, to be successful, to be prosperous the day that you were conceived. And you've been winning all your life. You just didn't know it. And just think about it. Just think about it. You had no arms, no legs, no chest, no lungs, no ears, no eyes. And out of about a 500,000 other possibility yous, you won. You outswam every other sperm that was out there trying to get, and without arms, without legs, without a nose, without a mouth. And if you could do all of that and win, imagine what you could do now that you have arms and hands and legs and a brain and a mind. You just have to put it to use. And the way that you will succeed and overcome, listen to me carefully, overcome any obstacles is to have a vision for your life. And if your vision is large enough, the obstacles won't matter.
Mm.
They won't matter.
I
So
have
get
one
a
quick.
vision for your life. Those of you that are listening, and you may not know what the Speakers Bureau is all about. You may not. You may be. This may be the first time you're joining us. Firstly, get the magazine, speakers.com. Speakers.com. Am I correct?
Magazine. Uh-huh.
Speakersmagazine.com. Mm.
Speakersmagazine.com. Secondly, those of you that are public speakers, authors, you need to be a part of a network. In this season from 2023 onward, your network is going to determine your net worth. People have capacity for your gifts, but do they have capacity for your greatness? And this is why Pam Perry, she has stepped out from amongst the clutter of the common. She has put herself out there to say, look, if you need help, if you need PR, if you need networking, I can help you. And so I want you to take Dr. Pam Perry very seriously. She is here. She's got a network that's second to none. And just join the Speakers Bureau. Join. In fact, Dr. Perry, tell them how they can find you and why this is so important. I know we're talking about me, but I got
Yeah.
to talk about you. I got to give you
Oh,
your props.
okay. Well, the Speakers Magazine .com. They could join that. They get it free. They can download it free. They can watch the videos. They can even uh, write for the magazine as well. We're looking at writers for 2023. They can go to Black Speakers Network because we're the official magazine of BSN. So they definitely have to be a member of BSN. BSN is one of those networks for Black speakers to network, to encourage, to inspire, to empower each other. Right. Those are the things that we do. But the magazine itself, they can download it. They can actually get featured in it as well. There's buttons on there for them to do that. But they have to show up. I always say those that show up and go up. And you've got to show up for things. For those that, I see Alicia over here and I see uh different people over here. Just showing up is just like half of it. But then actually pushing the button and saying, I'm going to join. I'm going to participate. I'm going to go to the event. I am going to read the books. I'm going to do the things. Information without implementation is like nothing. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. You're going to have the strategy. You're going to have the plan. You're going to have a mentor. Dr. Trimm is really committed to being that mentor for you for the next generation. I think the principal thing is wisdom. Obviously, the Bible says that. And so you need a mentor who is wise. So this is why every year in the year strong will always be Dr. Cindy Trimm, because if the whole year didn't go quite right, you could still end the year strong, right? You could still end the year strong, but you've got to just show up. Those that show up go up. And it's so, so important. I want to say something to you, Dr. Trim, because you've got like over 500,000 people following you on Twitter, just on Twitter. Okay. Where are those tweets coming from? Because that in itself is a book by itself. I mean, when I just look at the wisdom that you pour out on Twitter, I said, where are they coming from? A book? Are they coming from your meditation in the morning? Are they coming after you drink your coffee? I mean, I love your tweets.
Thank
Cindy.
you so much. I'm thinking, I know when I was young, 17, I had an idea of who I was. And by 30, I was running my country. So to
Bermuda.
go from,
Would you? I'm sorry. Would you repeat that? By 30, you were running what?
my
The
country,
country, Bermuda.
Right, not company. She
not
said,
company and not church.
right.
Yeah, I ran I've had three very successful careers. Three. I retired at 32. So what I'm doing is not for myself, it's for the next generation of women in leadership.
Mhm.
I know the path that you take. So been there, done that, and reaching back to be able to say, okay, look, I'm squaring my shoulders and giving you shoulders to stand on. And that's why I decided for the rest of my life, I'm going to be mentoring the next generation. And this is what I do every single day. But those tweets, you asked about the tweets. I remember when I first started a couple of years ago, and I used to say to myself, I'm not sending out another tweet until I get 50, and then 50 likes, 50 hearts. And then I said, I'm not sending out another one until I get 100.
I
And
get
I
thousands.
decided, and I do it myself. I know people have other people that do their tweet, but I tweet every single day. And I think about what would you have needed, Cindy, when you were 17 years old?
Mm,
And that's how I approach Twitter.
Mm,
I talk to the 17-year-old girl.
mm,
mhm, mhm.
And then if you are an author, every author should be tweeting.
Yes.
Every author. If you want to write a best-selling book,
Thank you.
you got to learn how to speak in sound bites.
Yes.
Use Twitter. Twitter sharpens me as a communicator.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I judge myself by, okay, how many responses that I get. So I could be excited about a soundbite and think it's going to hit, and it may not hit. Then when I think, oh, this is not going to hit, but I got to get something out, that's the one that blows up. So just paying attention to where people are, what they need.
Mhm.
It's not about what I want them to hear, is what they need to hear, what they feel, and you're connecting. I think that we have to become, there are two things, three things that are important. One is self mastery.
Yes.
Self mastery is not selfish, it's
No.
the most selfless thing that you could do because it informs the next phase, and that service to humanity. So, self mastery determines your orientation to yourself.
Mhm.
But service to humanity is your orientation to yourself in the world, where you see the world as very fragile and it needs to be cared for, it needs to be respected. So, how you show up in the world determines the trajectory of the universe. I'm communicating, no matter how big or how small it is. So it's not the big things that really matters. It's the really small things. Like, nobody would ever know my mother unless I said, okay, my mother is Edna Trimm. You can't Google and find her. But how did she show up as a single parent, raising healthy, strong, contributing members of society? And she took that assignment seriously.
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
not, if I didn't have my mother, like my mother, as she was, and she's shy, I would not be here today. So
Ah.
it's not the big things that you're doing out there that people get to see. It's the small things that you're doing in your private life.
Mhm. And
You
like
know,
you said,
that, that, that really matters. And I tell people, you've got to take me moments, an hour a day where you're sitting with yourself. You are the CEO of me. Inc.
Mm,
And you can live as an individual, but you can die as an institution.
mm,
Chanel did,
wow.
Gucci did,
mm.
all of those people, all of those
Versace.
brands,
Yep.
they did. So it's what you do on a day-to-day basis. It's your habits. You see, success is a habit. Prosperity is a habit.
Mhm. Mhm.
You
You were
you know
saying that
you,
was
you're
number
not
1.
successful overnight. It's a habit. It's
Yes.
the habits that habits are automatic, isn't it?
Yes.
So it's the automatic activities. So that means if a habit is responsible for your future success, then you can put your success on autopilot. You really can.
So, you said number 1 was self-mastery. What was number
Yeah.
2 and 3?
Service to humanity.
Service to
You
humanity.
you you you've got to see yourself as someone that is contributing
Mm-hmm.
to where humanity ends up next year,
Mhm.
the year after. You are.
Mhm.
The small
Mhm.
things, everything. You can say that, oh, I want a peaceful world, and then in your private lives you're arguing with your spouse.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's
Right.
hypocritical. Let's just start with having peace in your relationships, peace under
Mm.
the roof.
Peace at
And then
home.
the next thing is
Sir.
success skills. There's only four things that you need: self mastery, service to humanity, strategy, and success skills.
You
So
talk about
strategy
strategies a
is
lot.
a written plan
Yes.
without consideration of lack of limitation.
Yes. I love that.
So,
That's just
and it's
so powerful.
attached to a vision. So if you don't have a vision, you will never have a strategy.
Yes.
And everything that you do is
That's a
strategy.
tweet right there.
Yeah.
Listen, the theme for this year's summit is emergence. So that's right in line with the rise of the next generation, and then it says emergence, and that's what you'll be able to emerge. You go to this summit, regardless of how the year will, and been the whole time. You can end it strong and look forward to next year.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. And your
Yes.
year dot and your yearstrong.com.
Only
.com.
years. And
Yeah.
just reading some of the we're not going to have time to go through the whole magazine, Dr. Trim, but I will tell people go to speakersmagazine.com, go through the whole magazine, read the story, some of the tweets, follow her on Twitter. She's got a half a million. the thing she tweeted last night, or was rest. God will take it from here. You will laugh again. Don't give up. Keep going. Note to self: stop thinking, worrying about people who aren't thinking, and worrying about you. Hello. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna live on your Twitter. I was like, when you need that, I'm telling you, all, please. You think her tweets are good? Come to the In Your Year Strong. Okay. You will be on the floor in a good way. In a good way. Like, oh my God. And you need the strategy. And she will give you that inspire the vision, to get the strategy, to get the plans, to really put it in action for 2023. And that's really the whole point. And she talked about the 4-point things that you need in order to really be a success. This is it. So, Dr. Trimm, thank you so much.
Yes.
You're gonna do a boomerang with your board when you get it,
You
right?
know it. You know it. You know it. You guys, make sure you get make sure that you sign up. The
Yes.
information is right here at the
Yes.
bottom.
I love
And
it. I love it.
ooh, right at the bottom, you'll be able to get your speakers magazine. And
Yes.
Dr. Pam and Sierra, it's been a pleasure to do life with you.
Always.
Thank you so much for your brilliance, your intelligence, and for showing up unapologetically strong. And when you do, you're giving other women permission to do the same. We need more people like you. Thank you for not dimming your light, because you're
Oh,
giving everyone else permission to let their light shine as well.
oh, thank
Thank
you.
you so much for having me.
Thank you. That has been
And
one of
we got to do this again.
yes, we do. With
I
the
look
Please.
forward to it.
big blow up board, of course. So
Yeah.
I am definitely looking forward to this event, and I will be there virtually because they can be there in person and
Yes.
virtually.
Yes.
Yes.
And virtually. And
Yes, yes,
virtually.
yes. So thank you so much. And then follow her YouTube channel too, because she did the whole series about you have the power, powerful, powerful. Well,
Follow her on every platform there is. You won't
and
miss.
her app.
And her
And her
app.
app.
And let me just add this
Yeah.
in,
Yes,
Dr.
that
Perry, I
app
know
is
you talked about
everything.
Speakers Magazine, but those who want to work directly with Dr. Perry can reach her at pamperrypr.com. I totally agree with Dr. Trimm.
Mhm.
I tell people all the time, when you're with Pam, you are in good hands. You
Yeah.
know, network, visibility, strategy, everything. So
If
Dr.
they can take
Pam
it, they
Perry
can make
PR.
it.
Say that again.
I said, if they can take it, they can make it.
So I wanted to throw that out there. I enjoy working with her. It's been a blessing, and I get to meet wonderful people like Dr. Trimm. Thank you, Dr. Trimm, for always making time for us when it's time for this magazine, and it is definitely always my pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Thanks so much. Let's end the year strong. Merry Christmas, everyone.
All righty. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye,
All right.
guys.
God bless.
See you next time.
All right. Bye bye.